Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm here to talk about some big news that AMD is dropping. If you guys do enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button, also subscribe to the channel. Let's get right into it. So AMD stock, this is a very impressive stock. It's my largest holding, to be completely transparent. This is the stock that I own the most of in my portfolio, just over 60 shares. They've done very well this year, to say the least. They're up over 100%. And we're going to get into why. So we see their revenues begin, back on their upward trend. There was a little bit of a dip there in late 2023, early 2024. It started to pick back up. Their free cash flow, we see the same thing, that year over year they are starting to increase that again. There was a slow, a little stoppage in growth rates for AMD, but they've since then picked that up. And they've done a lot of good things. So they have a big earnings coming up, AMD, tomorrow. If you guys are watching this video, you know that's what this is about. This is about AMD's earnings. Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, is set to report its fiscal third quarter earnings after the bell on Tuesday, and it does have a series of massive AI chip deals with OpenAI. If you guys know, this is a privately traded company. They do not have a stock, but they own ChatGPT. That is what OpenAI is. It is owned by Sam Altman. They do a lot of deals with these big AI companies, and then also Oracle, who is a big purchaser of these chips. Last month, AMD signed a deal to provide OpenAI with up to 6 gigawatts worth of graphics processing units. That's a lot of money to power its AI data centers. In return, OpenAI agreed to purchase upwards of 160 million shares of AMD stock, equal to roughly 10% of the company. So this company saw a major spike because of that. If we go back to the stock price chart, we see this spike over here just in late October was that. The stock increased a lot. There was a really big buzz in the market because of that, very well deserved. And this is how I'm playing the earnings. So there's two ways that I'm playing these earnings. And I mean, obviously the stock is going to go up or down, but the way I'm playing these earnings has to do with how much is it going to go up or down. Why is this important? So this is important because AMD can go up, AMD can go down. It's going to do something. There's one of two things. It could stay flat, but it's still going to move in one direction. That's what we don't want. So AMD is reporting earnings tomorrow. We all know that. And the options market overestimated AMD stock's earnings move 58% of the time. So more than half, and this is in the last 12 quarters. So more than 6 quarters. I think this is around 7 quarters, if I'm not mistaken. That's what that percentage is, maybe 7 or 8 quarters. It's been overestimated. So for 4 or 5 quarters, AMD has been underestimated on their earnings move. The predicted move after earnings was around 8%, and then on average, and then an average actual earnings was around 6.8%. So not that far. But basically, this means that it's priced in. What we're doing today is we're going to be looking at some options. So this is what we call a strangle. We have two AMD, or a straddle. This is what we call it. It's one of the two. So basically it's in between these two prices. We're basically we're buying a put and we're buying a call that are both out of the money. And we see that, there's a very good chance to make money, but the stock does have to move a lot in one direction. So that's why it's perfect for earnings. Earnings usually does make a stock move a lot in one direction. We see that if it moves up 20% or down 20%, we're going to make money. But if it doesn't move that much, then we are not going to make money. So that's the big thing with this, is you need the stock to move. If AMD stays flat, they have a lackadaisical earnings, or they have if they have a kind of good earnings or a kind of bad earnings or just a meh earnings, nothing's going to happen. You're going to lose money on the strategy. If they have a horrible earnings, like absolutely, their stock just tanks 20 or 30%, you're going to be rich. You're going to, 10x your money. If they have an amazing earnings, their stock just, goes up 30%, you're going to 10x your money again. So you're betting that AMD stock is going to do something crazy, which after all of this buzz in the media, I think it might. So this is what I might do personally. So what I might do is buy a put on AMD just to hedge my position somewhat, because if AMD stock does drop 20%, I'm going to be down a good amount of money. So this is, relative to your positioning in AMD. I have a good amount of AMD, over $10,000, so I'm fine buying a put per se. If AMD stock does drop 10%, that would be, good for this put, but bad for my portfolio. I think I'd probably be down overall. But even if AMD stock rises, then this wouldn't really matter. So my put would be worthless, but my stock would go up a lot. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do this. I think I might. As you can see on the stock chart over here, this is a 45-day option, or 46, I think. So not that far out, but also not that close, because the IV does begin to, deteriorate rapidly once you get next to that expiration, but the stocks also are cheaper. So these are a few things that AMD usually does right here. So AMD usually moves around 8% like we saw. This is what they've done. So a lot of the past earnings, they haven't moved that much. You see the straddle here, that's the strategy I was showing you guys. They didn't move that much. So I mean, you didn't really make that much money if you did this. You didn't make any money. You lost a lot of money if you did this on AMD last quarter. If you did it on the quarter before that, you also lost a lot of money. And then, the past few quarters you would have lost a lot. Besides the one where it moved 10%, you might have made a little bit of money. But there's a high implied volatility on AMD, or there's a high, implied movement on their earnings because the stock is in the AI sector. They're in the GPU sector. Their stock's probably going to move a lot on earnings. It's a very volatile stock. So that makes a lot of sense. And that's why, it's good to know what AMD usually does. You can see this and think one of two things. They're going to do the same thing, or they're due for a big move. I'm thinking they're due. This is how to estimate almost. So this is optionstrat.com. I'm going to put a link in the description below so you guys can check this out. Very, 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 very useful site. Not as useful as market-io, which is also in the description. You guys should check out that 7-day free trial over there. You can, cancel it anytime you want. They give a lot of great information over there. That's where I used to make my stock picks. But anyways, Option Strat. This is a website that's very useful. We see that we can put whatever we want in there. So right now we have an AMD $230 put that expires December 19th. This is not 1,000% accurate, okay? So if this were true, AMD would drop 2% tomorrow and I'd be up more than 10%. That would be great, but sadly, that's not the case. So because there is an IV crush, you guys, what you have to remember is that you have to, take account for the IV crush that happens after earnings, because basically implied volatility is saying we know the option market is very complicated. Okay. I need to make a video explaining options. That's probably one, in the future. But the options market is definitely very complicated, and we see that the implied volatility for this is 64% right now. That's relative to the stock. But basically, it just matters, they're thinking the stock is going to move this much, so it's already implied into the options price. That's why some options are more expensive than others on these very volatile stocks. After earnings, people have a better sense of what direction the stock is going to go in. So, for that case, we see that the stock is actually has an implied volatility of 44%. It drops around 20% on average. You can get this information from Market Chameleon for free. Also another great site. I'll link that down below. Those are the only tools you need. You guys can do this earnings strategy on any stock. I did learn this strategy from Trading Fraternity. He does a version of this strategy during earnings. This isn't, a way to make a bunch of money. This is kind of just, to have some fun. If you have a larger portfolio, you can kind of bet on earnings a little bit. Very fun. But we see, if we bet on this right now, we're saying that, AMD has to drop 9% for us to make money. We're going to make more than 10% if it drops 9%. If it drops 12%, we're going to make more than 50% on our option. So it's, you're saying that this is very leveraged, basically. You're just leveraging shares. And then if the stock goes up at all, if the stock goes up 0.1%, you basically lose half your money. So and if the stock shoots up, like if the stock goes up 20%, you're pretty much out of all your money. You see that's $940 loss. So if the stock does not go in the direction you want and you're only playing one side, then you do have a high chance of losing. But then if you do imply the straddle strategy, strangle, you have, a higher chance of winning because the stock can go in either direction, but that stock has to move. Okay, so I mean, look at this. The stock has to go up 17% or down 18% for you to make money. You're going to make a lot of money. You're making over 10% on both of those moves, but the stock has to move a lot. And then, the more the stock moves in one of these directions, the better you're going to do. And then that's the scary thing, though. If the stock does, rise 30%, you're up, you more than doubled your position. You almost tripled it. But if the stock drops after that, let's say people start selling off and it goes all the way back down to only up 14%, you're down money now. So these move very fast. This is a strategy that is not my favorite on earnings. I think you should bet on one direction, but I think that, you can bet on this. There are stocks that move a lot. For example, I think it was just a year ago now. It was called ARM, a stock, ARM. It just absolutely exploded on earnings. And if you were playing puts, that's one I sat out of that I shouldn't have. But I was playing, I wasn't playing anything on that one. But if you were playing puts, then you didn't gain anything. If you were playing puts and calls, you made a lot of money. If you were playing just calls, you made a lot of money. So you are missing out on one side if you only choose one side, but you're also mitigating your risk. This one has a much higher risk. And then the other thing is that the stock could drop 14% and you're only down $200. It's not that big of a deal, or up 14%, but the stock has to move because I mean, you see also that the biggest loss you can take on this one is 50%, which is still a big loss. But at the same time, it's not, I mean, it is detrimental, but don't put money into the strategy that you aren't, fine with losing. That's what I'd say with this one. So plan or play it how you want, but it could be big. I think that this could be a very big earnings because there's a lot going on in AMD that could drop a bombshell in this earnings report. I think that's going to happen. I think they're going to say something crazy. I think the stock is going to, go on a pretty good run. It's definitely going to move big. I can tell you that. I don't think that this is going to be an earnings where the stock moves 4% up or down. I think we're going to see a 10% plus move up or down. So the stock is very inflated right now, which definitely helps it. And I think that, I mean, obviously, I'm probably going to play these earnings, I might play the straddle. I might do it. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'll let you guys know once I know for sure. Maybe put something out on, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, follow me there, Miles Talks Finance. But I might do that. Not 100% sure. I just got to think about it a little bit because 2,000 is a lot of money. But at the same time, I think that the risk to reward ratio on this is pretty enticing. And if not AMD, you can do this with a lot of other stocks. Maybe I'll make some more videos with other stocks later this week. But there's a lot of stocks reporting earnings this week. And the strategy can be applied anywhere in the stock market. Very fun strategy, very fun to use, especially on these smaller stocks. You can, buy options on one side of the earnings for like $50. And you can turn that into 300 really fast, so it's a very fun thing to do. There also are expensive options. I will admit AMD has expensive options. The cheapest one you can get that I think even has a chance of returning profit is around $1,000. So that definitely cuts some people out of the equation when it comes to playing this strategy. But you can do this on a lot of other stocks. I kind of just wanted to show you guys that it is a thing. There's major hedge potential. I know a lot of you guys watching this hold a lot of shares of AMD just like myself. And this is a great thing to do to hedge the stock on earnings, maybe buy some puts. The stock's going to move big in one direction, I'm saying. So, worst case scenario, the stock drops 10% and your put, goes up, 50, 100% in value. So make a little bit of money there. So yeah, guys, that's all I have for today's video. If you did enjoy, be sure to smash that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate your guys' support. I'm going to make more daily videos. That's what I've been doing, recently. Been a little bit off the grind, but I'm going to, start bringing you guys some more in-depth videos on some stocks I like and kind of probably make a longer video over these next couple of days of a lot of stocks that I like. And then, yeah, just more videos like that. Let me know what you guys want to see on the channel. I really appreciate the support. We're nearing 1,500 subscribers. Never thought I'd say that, but really appreciate you guys for that. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.